Okay, we're live.
Hey everyone, and welcome to this month's StepZen community update. We actually got kind of a warm up for next month's community update, which will be bigger and better than you ever saw before.
Yes, well, very excited for it.
For today, we have several things we want to share. One of them being community updates. So we actually had a guest blog from Victory Nwani from Lagos, Nigeria, and he wrote about how to use StepZen to build a full stack application with Svelte. I don't know, did you ever use Svelte, Lucia?
The Svelte app. That's coming up. So we'll be publishing that very soon. Very excited for that. To see how StepZen works within the Svelte app. We've got lots of different ways you can use StepZen, and that'll come up later when we show our GitHub repository of examples.
Yes, definitely. And also we have some products updates, which, as I said before, this month it will be less than next month, because for next month especially we've got many great updates coming up. We of course did some improvements here and there. And also I wanted to walk you through the graph of graphs, which is federation, which you might have heard before, using GraphQL to bring together multiple data sources, and then not only create a schema for every source itself, but create one sort of super graph or main graph that will wrap all these different subgraphs that you create for every data source. And then finally, we also have some Q&A. So if you have any questions, you can still share them on Discord or via this chat. We also got some questions from people that we might be able to handle at the end of this. But I think first, a community update from a tutorial that has been built by a guest author of us, Victory Nwani, from Lagos, Nigeria. Let me try and open up the blog. It will be posted on our website really soon. If you're rewatching this video, then it will already be there once you're actually watching this video, as we're building it to production as we speak. So while I'm sharing my screen here. It is right here. So it seems like my hotel Wi-Fi is good for a lot of things, except for loading the StepZen website. While we're waiting for this, I am in Spain this weekend for a conference. If you happen to visit JSD Canarias, you can get some nice StepZen stickers. But also there will be many more conferences which me or different people from our team will visit. So be sure to grab one of those Ninja stickers. And you can actually also get them through our website, right, Lucia?
Yeah, if it's not in any direct tab, it's kind of like a little Easter egg. But if you go to stepzen.com/stickers, or I think maybe there's a little button very close to the bottom, but stepzen.com/stickers, then you can find a way to send a GraphQL query and then get stickers to your address. I'll put the link in right there.
Nice, that's really cool. And I've heard you even get a handwritten note from our CEO with the
yes, yeah.
So be sure to make them really busy writing all those notes.
Yes, yeah. It's a fun thing to share on Twitter, I find, the swag.
Yeah, nice. And I think in our next product community update next month, we probably have some things to share to get even bigger and better StepZen merchandise. So be sure to join us next month as well. In the meantime, my website is loaded. So Victory Nwani, he built a tutorial for creating a stock trading application using StepZen and AlpacaDB. If you're not familiar with AlpacaDB, at least I wasn't, it is quite cool. So it's an API to trade stocks. And I believe they will also let you trade crypto, but that is still in a beta version. So what he did actually, he used one of our newest features, which is StepZen import curl. I can find somewhere here. So StepZen import curl to import a REST API endpoint that will be transformed to GraphQL automatically. So you can see here, you run StepZen import curl, you provide an API endpoint, you can provide a header, even multiple headers, as you can see here. And then you can also do more things like name your query or add a prefix to all the types that we generate. And then you automatically get a GraphQL API for any REST API, as Victory has done for the AlpacaDB API. And it's very cool tutorial.
Yeah, it's very neat that you can basically configure your schema from one command, so you don't have to go through and rewrite all of those queries. You can have them all configured just the way you want from import curl. So
yeah, definitely. And especially if you want to build something full stack using GraphQL, then this tutorial is also really nice, because if I scroll a bit down, you can actually see he also set up a Svelte project. And I also see before, if you ever use Svelte, I think if you try this tutorial, you will figure out how it works. Me personally, I was at a meetup a couple of weeks ago and someone was showing Svelte. I'm not sure if I completely understand how it works yet, but maybe that will come after retracing my steps from this tutorial.
Yeah, I think we have a with Svelte template in our examples repository from Anthony, if I'm not mistaken. So that would be fun to try, as well as this blog post.
Oh, nice. Yeah, so if we scroll down a bit more, you can see, well, Svelte Kit also has a pretty nice CLI, which will help you set up the project. And then the only thing you need to do after this is installing a GraphQL client. And Victory used Urkel in this one. And Urkel is a really nice open source GraphQL client. It has most of the capabilities that Apollo client has. So if you're a fan of Apollo client and you're looking for something new to try, make sure to try out Urkel. And as you can see here, they even have a Svelte plugin.
Yeah, they have a lot of different plugins for different front ends. I like Urkel for that reason.
Yeah, really cool. I recently opened their website again, and I actually noticed they were pretty strong on authorization and caching and making sure the hooks you will get are actually useful for most projects.
Indeed, yeah.
And after trying out this tutorial, you'll actually get an application like this, in which you can view all the stocks you purchased using AlpacaDB with GraphQL with StepZen, and then you can display them using this overview with Svelte Kit. And I believe there is, well, a link to both the tutorial itself and also to the code on Victory's GitHub repo. So make sure to like and share his repository. I will share a link in the chat for you as well. This is the code. And then the talk will become live any minute now. You to also have a look at. And Lucia, you mentioned the StepZen examples repo, right?
Yeah, so I'll share my screen. We can take a look at that. So this is the StepZen examples repository. It's all these different incarnations of StepZen. You can see we've got with different front ends, GATs, examples repository. It's all echoing pretty hard here. Let me know if it's too bad, and you can take over the audio, Roy. But we've got, and then also with different backends. So it's depending on where you are with GraphQL, with StepZen, or with these different frameworks. We can recommend different templates to start with. Like with GraphQL is just a good one to start with if you're new to StepZen. So as with REST, if you're looking to do something with a database backend, you can use something like with MySQL or with Postgres. We've got some new integrations with some newer technologies like Planet Scale. Here's our SvelteKit one. But again, you can also use the one in the blog post. We've got with Google Analytics, with FaunaDB, one that shows how to integrate it with GraphQL Voyager, so you can kind of map out your queries. So we're also welcoming contributions to this repository. So if you want to get started, we'd be happy to see you file an issue, and then we'll go from there. So yeah, if you're looking to get started with StepZen or to get started with one of these frameworks and GraphQL, highly, highly recommend taking a look at this repository, cloning it down, playing around.
Yes, pretty cool. And I think the list is growing quite fast. So hopefully people will be able to find all the technologies in there pretty soon. I think we have around 20 examples now.
Yeah. It's actually a pretty robust repository. Pretty proud of it. I've done a lot of work within different frameworks and with different backends over the past year. So I make it pretty easy to get started within any project. So sometimes with these tools and services, it can be a little bit overwhelming or hard to understand them outside of the context of the particular project that you're using. So, I'm sure that one of the first things you do when you're using one of these new things is looking for a project that uses it in context on GitHub. So we consider that to be a very important thing to help the developers have a smooth experience.
Yeah, definitely. And for product updates, as I said before, this month we've been working hard on integrations. As Lucia mentioned, we made an integration for Planet Scale, or actually we made sure our product worked very well with Planet Scale. So Planet Scale is if you're not familiar with it, it is a MySQL-based database that you can get as a cloud version. And also it's very scalable because it's running on Vitess, which is a open source scalable MySQL database used by, an example, Slack. So if you're using Slack at your work or with your friends or wherever, you're probably also using Vitess, which is powering Planet Scale. And you can actually get a GraphQL API for Planet Scale using just StepZen import MySQL, which is quite cool. And also a very easy way to get started with both GraphQL and with MySQL, as both StepZen and Planet Scale are running in the cloud. And so next month, you can expect a bit more product updates as well, and especially around getting started even easier. But for this, you have to wait until next month.
Yes, I realized it was Anthony. We have Anthony saying hi in the comments.
Hi, Anthony. And then the third thing on our list was graph of graphs, or actually federation, which might sound familiar to you already, because federation is. Sorry?
I was talking to Anthony in the chat there. But yeah. Sorry for not.
Oh, nice. Well, probably Anthony has heard about federation, so at least we have a good crowd around us. The federation, as you can see on this new page on our website, it is about making sure you can combine multiple graphs into one graph. And with StepZen, you can actually do this for any data source. If you look at this very nice diagram you can see over here, you can see with StepZen you can create a graph for multiple data sources, like a SQL, NoSQL backend, REST, SOAP, OData backends, and even for a third-party SaaS or wherever you get your graph from. So you can create your GraphQL schema using StepZen import with curl, PostgreSQL, MySQL, or any other GraphQL. And then you can create one big schema that will combine all these small schemas into one large schema. And this is something you especially see at companies that have multiple data sources, have multiple teams. You sometimes even hear companies that have domain teams or experience teams. And if you all want to combine them on the same graph, you really need a tool like StepZen to bring together all these smaller subgraphs that are being used by individual teams into one big graph that can be used by all teams in your company. So
right, and this is really the advantage of GraphQL, right, is that it brings these things into a single source of truth. And the advantage of using it with StepZen is, first, we have like this SDL focused approach where it's much simpler than writing out all the resolvers, where you can just add our custom directives in order to connect, say, like a database and a REST API. You'd have queries that address that instead of writing out different resolvers for them. And then also, we're highly performant and secure.
Yeah, nicely said. And I think also if you go back, so GraphQL is now, I think Lee Byron, one of the co-founders of GraphQL, actually said GraphQL is now 10 years old, at least around that age, because the internal specification for GraphQL is older than the actual open source specification. But I think if you go back 8 or 10 years or 5 years ago, GraphQL was all about speed, making sure you don't need to call multiple REST API endpoints. Instead, just call your GraphQL API. I think nowadays GraphQL is going more and more towards a data federation approach in which you have multiple teams, multiple data sources, and you want to combine data easily. Instead of only performant, it should also be easy to combine data. And as Lucia said, with this declarative approach, it has become way more easy.
Right. That definitely makes sense with it's almost like, I think Eve Porcello says, which I really like this idea. It seems correct that the GraphQL layer is almost like a contract between developers at a company where they'll agree to what information is going to become available to everyone and how to make it available.
Yeah, definitely. And it also, as I said before, so you have the main teams, people who are actually building GraphQL for maybe their service or maybe their database. And I think it's even more important to have GraphQL for those experienced teams, people that build front ends or mobile apps or whatever kind of experience you want to build. For them, GraphQL really is a lifesaver by making it easy to combine all these different data sources.
Yeah. It's something we're seeing, I think, increasingly in the GraphQL ecosystem is the desire to make it easier for the developer to incorporate different backends, and StepZen really shines here with all of the different backends, but especially I think REST with what Roy showed you, our import curl tool makes it incredibly easy to begin adopting REST API into your GraphQL layer.
Yes, and I think I shared a link for Federation. So if you are interested in this, make sure to go there. And then I think we can take a couple more minutes for Q&A. And for this, I want to go through some of the questions people have been asking on our Discord channel. So if you don't know already, we have a Discord community in which you can ask questions. So if you have a question and you want to be helped by Lucia or me or anyone else from our team, make sure to go there and sign up, because next to having a StepZen account, it's really useful to be in this community to ask questions directly.
So Anthony has a question, which is, got any conference appearances lined up? Roy is at one right now.
Yes, I'm at a conference right now, and I think June will be quite full with conferences. So if you're in Germany, then I'm pretty sure to meet you somewhere in Berlin. If you are where else am I going? I'm going to Portugal, hoping to meet some new GraphQL communities there as well. Might be interesting to maybe put out a calendar somewhere where you can meet the StepZen team somewhere in the coming next month, to ask your questions in person, to get one of those stickers in case you don't want to use our online GraphQL experience. And I think to go back to our Q&A, I think there was especially one question last week, or at least this month, that really stuck out to me, which was about pagination, and especially how you can do pagination with StepZen. And for this, it's important to know that there are multiple ways to do pagination. I think the most famous one around people is the one where you actually have a page number. And something you see in GraphQL that's quite popular is to have cursor-based pagination. So if you want to know more about pagination, it's actually in our Discord channel. So if you go to the help channel, you can find this question in which I think someone from our team and probably Carlos gave a fully fledged example on how to do pagination with StepZen. But to be short, it is quite easy. And all you need to do is just extend your GraphQL schema you've built with StepZen, which you already had, and then you just need to add a couple of more types to your query, and then you should be good to go. And with this, I think we shared everything we wanted to share for this month. You have anything else you wanted to share, Lucia?
That's it for now. I'm excited for the different, the new ways we've got of using StepZen that are coming up. I'm excited to show those to people next month.
Yes, indeed. So next month will be quite interesting. So we hope to see you there again. Bye-bye.